welcome to Miss Smart Muses. Welcome to Miss Smart Muses, where we muse upon what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Well, today we're going to talk about something that makes me happy and perhaps a bit sad because of certain things that are happening in this once beautiful country, and that is France. We are traveling to France this evening, and welcome everyone coming in and those that will be watching on the replay. I've got some pictures I'd like to share. I'm choosing 4 different cities, 4 different areas: Paris, Versailles, Bayeux, and Lisieux. I do somewhere in some planet have a bunch more pictures of Paris, but oh my gosh, most of them I took in the old-fashioned way, so they are not in digital form. But you're going to see some of Paris. Paris is a fantastic city. I really love Paris, and it's just I hope they get their act together. That's all I'll say about that. Well, look who we have in the chat. We have Corey Cochran. Thank you for being here. Oh, look, and it's me. As I know lots of people are streaming at the same time tonight, and that's okay. I hope everyone will be watching the replay. So let's go ahead and let's get this party going. Let's show some pictures. Now, I've gotten a little bit of flack before where people are all, what do you mean showing us on the map where these countries are? Well, you never know. You never know. And even if a person can find a country on the map, guess what? It never hurts to orient people to where we are going. Visual aids assist us a great deal. And the majority of people are visual learners, not learners of another kind. So here is France looking all France like. And right there, smack dab in the middle and kind of in the top, is Paris, Paris. Just flying visit, saying hi. Oh, well, thank you very much, Potato Revan. It's really late for you. You're way in the future. It's the middle of the night. France don't exist. It's Spanish propaganda. Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, I'm hoping that what's been going on in my life the past few days has been Spanish propaganda. I'm not sure I'm so lucky. But let's continue. Actually, Spain's a very lovely country as well. I've got nothing against Spain. So, Paris. This was waiting for me when I landed. I took this from my window. Concorde monument to that plane was, see, I think the Concorde was in operation for 20 years or so. It would go the speed of sound, and right when it used to hit the sonic barrier or something right over Conseil, and it would boom and things would shake a bit. And they did discontinue it, I believe, after a very tragic plane crash. I think that was the catalyst for them deciding not to do it. But there may have been more to it. If there was more to it, please let me know. Please let me know in the chat because I don't know everything. So there's the Concorde. Gee whiz, I wonder what that is. That is the Eiffel Tower. I was seeing it from a distance. I don't like to go to the Eiffel Tower, to be honest. Just not my thing. Interesting. In my chat, it's not showing your message about propaganda, but I can show it here. That's wild. Oh well. It's something that's nice to see once. You want to get a really good view of Paris, sure. But you can see a lot of other things, in my humble opinion. The Champs-Élysées, with the Arc de Triomphe at the top. I stayed at a hotel near there for a night or two. So there I am. Here's a close-up. It's insane because there's no road, there's no lanes. It's like, what's going on? I don't know how there's not 1,000 car crashes there. But apparently there aren't. So this was built by Napoleon, I believe. And in World War II, that's where Charles de Gaulle and the gang walked through there with all the triumph, and my grandfather was a little bit bitter about that. He's like, "They acted like they won." It's like, well, yeah. Check this out. This is the view from outside of my hotel. I was at the very, very, very top because these are expensive. If you're going to stay at a hotel, Champs-Élysées, it's expensive as if. This was like $600 a night, and it was like an attic area. It's where they used to put all their unwanted relatives. So that was me looking down. How many stories is that? Several. It just reminded me very 19th century scene straight out of Les Miserables. So here I'm looking down, and we have a salty traveling sea in the chat. He is speaking French, I believe. Probably speaking French better than I do. Though I have been told I kind of speak French because when we were in Normandy with my traveling companion, I'd be sitting there going, blah, 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 talking. I could understand and kind of communicate. And my friend was all, "You are actually talking French." It's like, but I'm speaking it so badly. I decided not to put a different location to show you where we are for Versailles. Versailles is outside of Paris, if for lack of a better word, a suburb, a very, very lovely little area. Like even just forget the palace and all that. This road where I'm along has some really nice little restaurants. And a friend of mine, dash nabbit, I wish I could just show pictures, but I can't because showing pictures of me is not a safe thing to do. Loads of fun. Sidewalk, restaurants are on the outside, but this is Versailles. It really is obscene. This thing is obscene. It's so big. And I don't think I even got the whole of it in this picture. Salty Traveling Sea says, "I know how to order the best French fry." Ah, yes. Yeah. Ordering is one of the things I actually do best in French. Menu French is I am fluent in. So here we are, Versailles. And a breakfast. What did I have? Looks like I had, scrambled eggs with some cheese, some wheat bread with some jam, coffee, and a little yogurt. A very French little breakfast. Okay. This was a different trip than the one I was just showing you. In this one, me and my traveling companion got one of those hotel rooms where it's got a kitchenette and all that. It was really quite large. And I just decided to show off what we had purchased there. She was going to be spending a good deal of her travels by herself in France. I was there reporting for Once Upon a Fan. I was the editor in chief. So I was spending time at a convention and she went to all the museums. Just an example. Look at that. Oh gosh. Smoked salmon. This sandwich, I think it was a smoked salmon sandwich. I just get smoked salmon sandwiches like they're going out of business when I'm in France. Some tomatoes, some cheese. I think this is camembert. Instant coffee. Instant coffee does not taste like crap in Europe. And cream for our coffee, or as they say, crème, and a little bottle of wine. Gosh, I remember just being beside myself that you could get individual bottles of wine. Like in America, we get that crap stuff as an individual bottle of wine. But in France, you get like friggin' Burgundy. in those. Can you imagine if you could buy those at a gas station here in America? Look who's here! Yay! It is Ancient One. Welcome, Miss Martin Music's Castle of Roses, our beloved rose in a flower that somehow levitates. Now, if I were going to be really cruel to you, Ancient One, I would say you're about to get a face reveal when we get to Lisieux, but that's not fair. It's not a true face reveal. But if you do know the French version of Teresa Martin, you'll know what I'm talking about. Hello, hello to everyone, and thank you for being here. I just love sharing this stuff. I love it. Love all you. So we got this at the supermarket, and everything that was there is better than you get like a 10,000-star hotel in the United States. They do know their cuisine, even in their supermarkets. This was just too beautiful. This was right outside of my hotel room, and there were roses. True story. Roses kept popping up everywhere in the weirdest moments. Also, like when we'd be lost or dire situation things that can happen when you're on a tour. And because I have a great devotion to St. Teresa the Little Flower, my friend said, if we get one more rose at a scary moment, I'm going to start going back to Mass. But this was one that was just outside my hotel room. So I decided I had to show this off because look at the aesthetics. Only in France can you have such a pretty rose with your coffee. RRTNZ, hello, thank you for being here. Bon vacances, which I believe means good vacation, maybe? I'm horrible at French. Ancient One, so face reveal will get what happens to be a human disguise to ensure Miss Martin remains in the hidden. Yeah. Nah, Lisieux is where the Therese Martin, where her family lived and where the convent was. So you're going to see some pictures of her. Not a real face reveal. A face reveal of Teresa Martin, just a different Teresa Martin. Their cheese is enough to make a grown woman cry. Are you hearing me? Their cheese in France, and the cheese you get there, you can't. Okay, I'm going to start getting beside myself. I'm going to start speaking in tongues or something. We can get French cheese here, Brie, Camembert, but nothing compared to the cheese you get over there. There's so many more different varieties, and a lot of the ones that I had in Normandy. There was one called Moine. I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation. It's a monk one. It was so good, and I just nearly cried when I figured out I could not get it here in the United States. Thank you, everyone, coming in. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, and please smash the like button, like, share, and subscribe, and watch my videos, please, because I'm almost there with the watch hours. Almost there. Okay. This is also in Versailles, San Louis Square, as in the St. Louis. But this isn't where his relics are or anything. There are relics everywhere in Paris. Oh my gosh, you are going to see relics left and right, like St. Vincent de Paul. I saw his bones. I saw St. Catherine Labouré. Their relics are incorrupt, some of them. The little flowers are not incorrupt, but this is San Louis Square. So, of course, I decided to go to Mass there because, listen, they do have little churches, right? Little chapels. They have even some awful looking ones, modern ones. But why the hell would you do that when you can go to Mass at a church that looks like this? So I did. Oops, I lost. Okay. And inside there was a statue of Saint Joan d'Arc. I just took a picture of that and put it here because, of course, Saint Joan of Arc is one of the co-patrons of France patronesses. The other one is Saint Teresa of Lisieux, actually. So you can see her there with her short hair and all that. So Saint Joan of Arc, when in France, you got to see Saint Joan. Gets real crazy. We show an animation of Miss Martin as a rose. Yeah. If I knew how to animate, I would do that just for you, Ancient One. And now we are moving. So we've been in Paris. Now we're going over to Bayeux. Very close to where Normandy was. So if you see my Rather, this is Normandy. The beach is at Normandy, Omaha Beach. This is the closest town to there. So that's where you'll go and you'll stay and you can take tours. Or I do recommend, if you feel comfortable, go ahead and rent a car. You can take a train from Paris to Bayeux, and there is a rental car right there. A rental place. Rent a car. Or there was a family, American family, that was met by a driver. Hire a driver if you can, especially out here. But yeah, you don't need that when you are in the town of Bayeux. Speaking of which, this was some apple cider, alcoholic one. It basically tasted like a mild apple wine. This was on the train, and look, they kind of have a thing there so it won't tip over. So here's Bayeux. Lots of these kind of flowers have to do with remembrance of those lost. Some of these towns, it's like you're walking into an ancient medieval town. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Gosh, love it. And here's an old water wheel. The water. Gorgeous, gorgeous city. Or town. I mentioned in the Normandy one, the war one rather, this place just got bombed in the next week during the war, and people took shelter in the cathedral, especially in the catacombs area in the cathedral. The crypt, rather. Speaking of cathedrals, this was gorgeous. Oh my gosh, it was gorgeous. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I put the pictures from the crypt in there. The crypt wasn't that exciting, to be fair. It had some dead bodies and tombs dating back to, I don't know, about several hundred years old. What do you call it, though, when they're not buried and they're in a church and they're kind of above ground in these little slabs? Whatever that is, that's what was there. But it was a great place to take shelter. Here's another view. You can see this from a distance. And these were like testaments to people's faith. These were the center of their town. The commerce would center around the cathedral. Gosh, just so gorgeous. And there's something very special when the mass time comes around and you hear the bells start to ring. Oh, this is me getting closer. You can see this is the front of it. Very narrow roads. The roads are still the same as they were during medieval times. They just paved them over. That's why in these towns you won't see, like in America, where they're like square, they're straight, they're in blocks. That's not the way things were. Man, I have a whole bunch of views. Oh, there's my friend, actually. Yeah, this was us arriving into town. It was rainy. We were miserable. Luckily, the rain stopped. Oh, inside the cathedral. Speaking of the little flower, I decided, of course, I had to take some pictures of her. They have like lots of little side chapels. Of course, since Teresa is the patroness of France, the co-patroness, but also just everyone loves Teresa. Everyone loves the little flower. So you'll see her everywhere. Lots of churches also named after her. And you see people giving her roses. See, there's the face reveal. There I am. This is what I was saying, Ancient One. I wasn't going to be mean, though. Obviously, that is not me. I am not a 19th century nun who died of tuberculosis in 1897. But look at this. People give her roses and merci as Saint Therese. Thanks for everything that she's done. Everyone loves her and for prayers answered. We love Saint Therese here at Miss Martin Muses. Oh, I lit a candle because that's what I do. Some relics of hers were there as well. She is not incorrupt, so when you see what Therese, well, it's just a piece of bone. It's nothing pretty. Look at that. Dang, we don't make things like this anymore. And the fact that these are being burned down right now, I'm beside myself. I was beside myself when it happened to Notre Dame de Paris. This, of course, is Notre Dame de Bayeux. They're all called Notre Dame in France. Our Lady. The stained glass windows. Stained glass windows, they always tell a story because not everyone used to be able to read, and it stays up. Lots of memorials inside the cathedral for this one, the 56th Infantry British Liberation Army to the memory of all ranks of 56th Infantry Brigade who died in the campaign for the liberation of northwestern Europe, June 1944 to May 1945, erected by their comrades. We shall remember. I bawled my eyes out, by the way, every second I was in this town and at the beaches. Hey, these aren't that pretty. I wonder why. Well, you saw the stained glass windows before, how gorgeous they were. These are very plain, very blank because they were blown out during the fighting and the bombing. So the original stained glass windows were blown to hell. So they replaced them with nice looking windows, but it can't compare to the loving care and the beautiful, beautiful stained glass windows of ancient times, of old times rather. See, check this out. You have this and then this. Again, this is lovely. Nothing against it. But the art and the loving care that went into these buildings. Amazing. Oh, here's another view. Here's a view of the sanctuary. Here's the altar, the priest is, the choir. I did not go to mass here. It was not a Sunday. When did I go to mass there? Actually, I went to a little chapel for one of the times. And this vacation, it was a St. Teresa chapel. The other one was the Saint Louis. All right, this is where I lost it. In these cathedrals, you have loads of side altars inside chapels. The idea, priests can come in and say their masses and people can all participate there, but not at the high altar. The high altar is like a big deal, usually reserved for Sundays and holy days. So this is a side chapel of remembrance. And I think it translates to peace. Yeah, the chapel of peace. So it has all the flags of the people that fought here and liberated Normandy. And you'll see that all over Bayeux and all over Normandy. It'll say, thank you to our liberators. They are still grateful for what they did. I believe I have a close-up here. Let's see. Oh. This is a candle that I like this one. This one had been one I just took a picture of. The one you're going to see in a second is the one I lit. This is what Senor Lord something of the world and the spirit of peace. Totally butchered the translation, but you get the sentiment. And then here, this is one in English. We will remember for peace. They chose as kind of the patroness of this Saint Edith Stein. Her religious name when she became a nun was Teresa Benedicta of the Cross, Teresa blessed by the cross. She took her name from Saint Teresa of Avila, but of course also had a great devotion to Saint Teresa of Lisieux, Saint Teresa of Lisieux. Because check this out. You had Teresa of Avila. Teresa of Lisieux was named after Teresa of Avila, and then you have this Teresa named after the other Teresa. And then Mother Teresa was named after Little Flower. Edith Stein was chosen as the patroness of this because she died at Auschwitz. And gosh, it's just awful. She and her sister were murdered at Auschwitz. And she got canonized. When did she get canonized? Not too long ago. Not too long ago. I was one of the people that petitioned the Holy Father. I really bugged the Holy Father. I petitioned for her to become a saint and also petitioned that Saint Teresa of Lisieux would become a doctor of the church. I'm not that special. I didn't do it personally. What I did was I signed my name to these books. So you'll find them when I went to Lisieux for the first time back in the early 90s. That's where I signed the petition to the Holy Father. But yes, she was actually a Jew. That was part of the reason why she was killed. She and her sister converted, and then she became a nun because she was just so floored by the testimony of Saint Teresa of Avila. And they thought they'd be safer by moving them over to the Netherlands. But then it turns out that the bishops in the Netherlands did a protest against the Nazis. And so the Nazis said, well, since you all don't know your place, we're going to retaliate. We're going to go get every Jew convert, especially in the convents and other areas, because up to that point they had let it go. So it was a retaliation for the bishops protesting the Nazi deportation of the Jews. Which is why when some people try to say the church didn't do anything, it's like, well, sorry, history is not on the side there. Who's here? Fletcher Williams. I suck at games. Awesome. Hello. My wife loved her time in France. Yes, I love France. I spent most of the time actually lived kind of in France was in Strasbourg. Had a very German flavor for reasons, but Strasbourg is an amazing city. When I was in university, my parents lived there, so when I wasn't, I flew over to France to be with them. So yes, so Saint Edith Stein is held up as the saint to pray to be the poster girl for peace and reconciliation. A reminder that never should anything like what happened with the Yahtzees should ever happen again. Look at that pulpit. And you think your preacher has a pulpit, your priest? Oh my gosh, look at this. Imagine getting to climb up and pulpit in there, preach to everyone. That's one serious canopy, too. Pulpits would be like this halfway through the church because so people could hear them. Back in the day, they did not have microphones. So you get up there and go blah, 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 preach, Jesus loves you and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Fletcher says she lived in Paris but traveled a lot to the churches and grottos. Ooh, nice. So I bet you she went to Lisieux. She probably went to Lisieux, but she also went to Lourdes. Lourdes is awesome. All right. We're outside of the cathedral now. There's a little restaurant called Le Petit Normand. Always I want to apologize to the French people for how I pronounce their language. My pronunciation, the Académie Française, I think has my passport flagged as a butcher of the French language. I try. But I thought that was really a really nice, cute little name. And you're going to see something in a moment. Welcome to our liberators. See, you'll see that all over in Bayeux. They have it on signs. They'll have it on banners still. How many years later after World War II? Matt G is here and you brought me hamburgers. Thank you. Actually, oh gee, I really need. My day was so bad after all the flooding and everything that I had to have a hamburger last Saturday. It was meant to be. Ancient One says, yes, the relatives of Miss Martin because they are also roses and flower pots and somehow levitate. Yeah, look at my people. Look at my people. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, Jabba. Did you go to Ars? I've never been to Ars. For crying out loud, look how gorgeous the architecture and the signs. This is called Patisserie, pastry place, Saloon de Thé. So it's a tea house. Does your tea house look this awesome? I think not. Gosh darn it. Check out that architecture. Check it out. And as you can see, all the different flags, including the EU, which, okay, fine. You can drive here, as you can see, but you probably don't want to. It is incredibly narrow. Breakfast. Have a croissant, orange juice, coffee with milk, and some sort of preserves, I think. Oh, and a baguette, sugar cubes, and I think this was brown sugar. Yeah, so this is the breakfast. Churchill, Hotel Churchill. They like the British. They like their liberators in Normandy. Here's a closer look. You see the British flag, Great Bistro. I like this picture because you can get a good shot of all the flags of all the people that helped liberate Normandy and fought against the Yazis. See, Belgium. Where's the American one's in there somewhere. You get just such a strong feeling of gratitude when you're there. Lunch. This is lunch in the Cathedral Square. We're eating outside. You can see we have a glass of rosé. If you get Provence rosé, if you still drink, if you're like me, if you haven't abused the privilege, go and enjoy a nice rosé from Provence with some salad. Salad is served with everything over there, and we had a savory crepe for lunch. You know, if you've ever seen that book, French people don't get fat. I mean, this is why. You know, their portions don't tend to be too big. They enjoy not everything in excess. Everything not in excess. A glass of wine, a bit of salad, a bit of this, and boom. And you saw the same with the breakfast. It's really odd as Americans because we're used to people coming and just constantly refilling our coffee cups, and you won't have that over there. And you're thinking, what's wrong with the world? On the other hand, their coffee's so strong, maybe you don't want it. They were so capitalizing on Game of Thrones. That's what they're saying here. That's in French. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. This was an advertisement for the tapestry, the Bayeux tapestry. And if you don't know, that is also what's incredibly famous. The Bayeux tapestry is amazing. Amazing. You've got to go see it. It was made after the 1066, William the Conqueror, all that good stuff. It shows the whole story of the invasion. So the tapestry of Bayeux, and they're going, yeah, the Game of Thrones. It was a Game of Thrones. Not my picture, obviously, because you're not allowed to. When you go in to see the Bayeux tapestry, it is in a dark room with a certain special kind of light because it'll get damaged. But it just went around all through the whole place. I mean, it's so big, it's so amazing. It's art. So if you go to Bayeux, you've got to go see the tapestry. They give you also a little thing in your ear, little recording that'll tell you what's going on. But you do have to keep moving because so many people, of course, are there to see it. So you just kind of keep walking. All right, so that's Bayeux. So there's Bayeux. And I've probably been pronouncing that wrong too. Sorry. Now we're going to go over here to Lisieux. I promised you, yes, I did, Precious, that we were going to go to Lisieux. I'm probably butchering that as well. The little flower. Check this out. This chick has this basilica. You have basilicas and cathedrals that, if one of these were in America, we would all be beside ourselves. Everyone would be flocking to it. True story. This is where I was the biggest snob who ever lived. When I was in high school, we were on a tour in New York, a field trip, and we went to go to St. Patrick's, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I remember sitting there going, "Okay, and it's nice, but it's nothing compared to." And it isn't. I mean, we do our best over here. We don't have this kind of tradition, but this is the Basilica of the Little Flower. Also a place of shelter during all the fighting, because remember, all this fighting was going on following D-Day. Raining, yeah. I was able to take a train there. I was able to walk to the basilica and to these places. I stayed at a hotel nearby. This is inside the basilica. Up here is the reliquary. That is where St. Teresa's relics, I believe it is a femur that is in the reliquary, and see all the candles. Her mother and father were also canonized, and they are in the basement in the crypt area, and I was able to visit them as well. She had some seriously, seriously holy people around her. Should probably get a picture of the relics. I don't know why I didn't get a picture. Oh, well. Oh, let's take a break for some food porn. This was at the B&B hotel I was staying at. Carrot soup with a dollop of sour cream, and I have no idea even what that is there, and, of course, some wine. This was dessert. Porfito rolls, the chocolate and nuts. The French know their cuisine. I mean, holy crud, this was an amazing meal. Oh, some cheese was part of it as well. I forget if this was before or after or a different meal. It was a different meal because this is crème brûlée. No, I did not have 2 desserts. I would have had a total sugar shock. Looks stylish, yeah. It's fancy. They know their presentation too. There's a reason why everyone goes to France to learn how to cook. Here's some second-class relics of Saint Therese. Look how cute and pretty she is. I love this picture. This is a saint dressed as a saint. Therese wrote a lot of plays and would perform them for the other nuns. Here she is playing Saint Joan of Arc. So this is a picture of her and a costume she made that she put over her habit. So you can see part of it has her habit. And she was wearing a wig because nuns would cut their hair. She made some chains and some banners as part of the costume. So yes, these are secondhand relics of Therese when she's dressed up like Saint Joan of Arc. This is her habit, including her rosary. Her full formal habit, because it also has a cape. They didn't go around with the capes all the time. It was very impractical. They would wear their capes, I think, during Mass and Liturgy of the Hours. Don't quote me on that, though. Ancient one. And so we see an animation of how Miss Murray eats her food while it's like, yes, make it so. Someone out there, make it so. So look at us. We're having relics. Oh, by the way, when I say secondhand relic, if you don't know, a first-hand relic is a bone, piece of hair, something that's on their body. So the bone that we saw in the reliquary, that is a class relic. A second-class relic is something that the saint touched or used. So here you see, this is the paddle when they're doing their laundry, there's a picture of Saint Therese doing laundry. They helpfully help us out. Here are Saint Therese's shoes and an apron, something or other. I don't know, but just more relics. That is not her, obviously. That is a representation of her. She is not incorrupt, but here is where she lays. It's behind a grill. And look, there's her parents. So her parents get a picture too, though they have their own. Oh, crap, go back. They have their own special place, as I said, in the crypt. And I don't know why I don't have pictures of that. And flowers and roses everywhere because everyone loves the little flower. Everyone loves Therese. This is the main part of the church, I believe, the high altar. Gorgeous stuff. And this was not made in the Middle Ages. This was made in the 20s because she was not canonized until 1925. She died in 1897. Oh, and then we have Gettysburg. No, that's from my old Gettysburg one. So that is it. Those are the pictures that I decided, what the hell? Let me just share these with you because I love them so much. I thought I had some snails. Did I forget the snails? How dare I? Well, eventually I'm going to do a food porn stream, or not real porn, of course. Okay, if you don't know what creme brulee is, creme brulee, okay, it's basically sugar and milk, a custard, and then they have this caramelized something or other on top, like a bunch of sugar, and take like a blowtorch and burn it. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, you'll get sugar shock. Maybe I don't have the snails. I have failed in my mission. But gosh, look at that. Let me see. I'm going to stop the screen here to see if I can find the snails because I triggered a lot of people with the snails. I happen to like escargot. I think it tastes really, really good. Oh, here they are. Is this it? Let me see. It is the snails. So I'm going to cut this out. Make a new slide. They even serve them in the shells, for crying out loud. It's disgusting. I mean, it looks disgusting, but they are so good. So good. All right, let me share this here. So hopefully this doesn't make anyone lose their proverbial lunch because I think it's good. Here we go. Here's the snails. Yes, oh my. Snails in their shell, paired with a nice wine. They usually have a lot of spices, a lot of sauce, like a wine sauce in it, because snails don't really have a taste. They're kind of like mussels. If you've ever had mussels, they don't really have a taste. It's what you put on them that makes them good. Oh my gosh, mussels. They call it moules and frites. I apologize to the French. Mussels and French fries is something that you'll have as something kind of casual over there, but there's my snails. So more food porn at another time. And I might have just ruined everyone's desire. All right, so a bit of a short stream, but I wanted to check in with you all. And for those of you that might be watching this on the replay, I'd like to share where I've traveled, where I've been, and hopefully you all maybe got something out of it. I cannot recommend enough going to Bayeux and then going to the beaches at Normandy. At Lisieux, there's really not much to see unless you're there to see Teresa. I'll just be honest with you. It's if you like Tourette's, it's a great place to go. And the basilica's lovely. Versailles, you got to go. You got to see it at least once. So that's it. Tomorrow night, we're going to be continuing with Pub Crawl with Nina Infinity will be the guest. The topic yet to be determined. That's going to be at 7 o'clock Central. I am still working on my closing encounters thing. It is whittled down to 20 minutes. And it's still too long, and I'm only halfway through it. So I'm thinking of splitting it in two. Maybe it's some more Tolkien. I want to talk a little bit about Boromir in the books, as opposed to in the movie. As great as he was in the movie, it still wasn't quite the Boromir from the novels. Also, maybe another Tolkien letter about Denethor, but no book stream on Saturday because we are done. We have finished, Precious. Yes, we have. Yes, we have. But we still encourage people to read. So that's it. Have a great evening, everyone. Oh, wait, before I do, let me thank Ancient One. You've been with me all through this. Thank you very much. Thank you to Fletcher, Matt G. He brought me hamburgers. Thank you. I needed that. Let's see, Salty Traveling Sea popped in. So did Potato Revan and Corey Cochran. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day. And be certain to try snails at least once.